Rome didn't conquer the world with courage alone. It conquered the world with money. Behind every Roman victory, there was a bill to pay. Thousands of soldiers needed food, weapons, roads, armor, ships, horses, and none of it was cheap. So Rome discovered something dangerous. War could make money. And once an empire learns that war is profitable, it becomes almost impossible to stop. The terrifying part, 2,000 years later, the system still looks strangely familiar. In the early Roman Republic, the army was simple. If you owned land, you fought for Rome. Farmers became soldiers during war, then returned home after battle. At first, this system worked, but Rome kept expanding. Wars became longer, farther away, more expensive. You couldn't leave your farm for years anymore. Rome needed professional soldiers. That changed everything. The government started paying soldiers salaries, not because Rome was generous, but because loyalty had become a business expense. And then Rome discovered the ultimate financial strategy. Conquest could pay for more conquest. Every new territory brought taxes, gold, 2 slaves, resources. War was no longer just politics. It became an economic engine. But conquest alone wasn't enough. Rome needed even more money. So during massive wars, especially against Carthage, Rome borrowed heavily from wealthy elites. These weren't patriotic donations. They were investments. The rich funded war and expected profits in return. Land, trade rights, tax collection contracts, political influence. Suddenly, war wasn't just about victory. It became business. A powerful financial class emerged. The Roman publicani, private contractors who handled taxes, logistics, and military supply chains. Some became richer than senators themselves. The more Rome expanded, the richer they became. And slowly, the entire economy started depending on endless expansion. But there was one problem. Expansion cannot continue forever. Eventually, the wars became too expensive. New territories stopped generating enough wealth. The empire still had debts, still had armies, still had promises to keep. So, Rome turned to a trick governments still use today. It reduced the silver inside its coins. Quietly, slowly. At first, nobody noticed, but over time, the Roman currency became weaker and weaker. Prices exploded. Trust disappeared. The rich protected themselves. With land and assets, ordinary people suffered the most. Sound familiar? Today, empires don't conquer with swords. They conquer with debt. Modern governments borrow trillions. Wars are financed through loans. Currencies lose purchasing power. And massive financial institutions profit during a crisis after crisis. The names have changed, but the mechanics feel hauntingly similar. Rome called it tribute. Today, we call it inflation. Deficits, monetary policy, quantitative easing. And just like Rome, modern systems survive by constantly expanding. More debt, more spending, more growth. Because once the machine depends on expansion, slowing down becomes dangerous. Rome didn't collapse in a single day. It weakened slowly, financially, politically, morally. Empires rarely fall when enemies attack from outside. Most collapse after the system breaks from within. When debt grows faster than productivity, when currency loses trust, when elites profit while citizens struggle, history starts repeating itself. That's why studying history matters, because the patterns never truly disappear. Only the costumes change. And maybe the most dangerous thing about a collapsing system is that most people don't realize it's collapsing until it's too late. So next time you hear about a new war, a new crisis, or another trillion-dollar spending package, don't just watch the headlines. Follow the money. Because every empire eventually faces the same question. What happens when the math no longer works? If this changed the way you see history, subscribe now, because history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it always leaves clues.